So you went 215% your goal, and I also remember you mentioned you had a brand new chunk of people who are your raving fans now. You said you had like 800 or some people that were brand new in your life and your business.
Yeah, and it just, they keep cropping up. People, and by the way, there are people who will find out about your campaign. Mm-hmm. Let's see, how do I say this? There's some people who will find out about your campaign while it's still live, but they won't contribute to the campaign, or they may, but they'll become relevant in other ways.
Right.
So, oh God, we had so many unexpected. We had the graphic designer, the guy who did all the original graphics for the video game Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my gosh. Okay, remember that?
I mean, you talk about this guy is like an icon.
Yeah.
And so this guy, I think it was Ken, and Ken reached out, and we started this whole dialogue, email and some phone eventually, and blah, 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 blah. And all he wanted to know was, can I do some stuff for the campaign, or can I design the book cover, or can I, what could I do? So you'll find people who want to engage with you in ways that you didn't expect, number one. And number two, another thing that we found, and I don't know how common this stuff is. I've only done one Kickstarter campaign, so I'm not, the ultimate expert.
Okay.
But I found, I was surprised and took notice that there were at least several, if not quite a few actually, people who cropped up in my social media or found my email and emailed me, or put a message to me through. People can still reach out to you through Kickstarter after your campaign is over. So there were a bunch of people who, from a variety of sources, approached me after the campaign was over, and just said, "Oh my God, I only just found out. I'm so sorry I couldn't contribute, but how do I get the book, or how do I support you, or my friend, I want to get it for my friend," or all this sort of stuff. And sometimes it's not even about what you're selling, so to speak. Again, there were people. I had one. Or actually, I'll tell you one story. It was fun. I met this guy who's CEO of a relatively young, new-style film distribution company. Very, very bright, good guy. So we've gotten to know each other a little bit over time. But I met him, and over the course of our first breakfast, he mentioned the name of a gal, and I do this from time to time, just a strange thing that I do. I'm very intuitive that way. Like, out of nowhere, I stopped the conversation, said, "Time out, I don't know who that is, but I need to meet her. Who is she? Why do I need to meet her?" And he said, "Oh, well," he was a little taken aback, but he said, "Okay, this is who she is." Well, it turns out, apart from being an Olympic equestrian and being, a very interesting background, she was the general manager and co-founder of a website that is the news platform for tech startups in pretty much East and West Coast. And so if you're interested in startups, you want to know about this website. And so very, very well known amongst the VCs and the startup and the tech community in general. And so long story short, I reached out to her, this gentleman that I was having breakfast with. I said, "Would you send a cross-introductory email?" Which he did within minutes of that email coming into my inbox. I see an email from that woman. I was like, "Oh my God, she barely had time to breathe, let alone send an email." She did. So I exchanged emails with her, and then and interestingly, she said in her email, "And by the way, congratulations on your fantastic Kickstarter." And I'd never mentioned it. I don't know how she. So, I got on a phone call with her within the first couple of weeks. We agreed to speak, and we did. And I said, that interesting that you noted that. I don't know how you knew that, because that was my maiden voyage in the sharing economy. And she said, "No, it wasn't. It was too good to be a maiden voyage." I said, "Well, thanks. That's sweet." But it was. And she said, "Well, let me tell you how I learned, how I knew about it." the executive chairman of the board of my company is a big serial success in Silicon Valley. He's been behind a lot of startups, and he's just a really lovely guy. And he one day called me and he said, "You got to check out this Kickstarter campaign," and it was mine. Now, how he came across it or why he came across it, I have no idea. I've never met the guy. I've never spoken to the guy to this day. But she said, I looked at it because he asked me to, and I went, "Oh my God, I agree with you." So he said, he and I are two of your biggest fans. Cannot wait to meet you. Let us know when you're coming up to Northern California, because he and I both want to meet you. I said, "Great, I will do that." Anyway, we've had a number of conversations. I haven't gone up yet. But the point is that you don't know who's paying attention. You just have to surrender to the universe and say, "This is a magical mystery tour."
Yeah.
You know, you're the Beatles, and this is your magical mystery tour, and you don't know who's going to show up to play in your sandbox. But you welcome everybody, and that's the attitude. It's like arms akimbo, palm up. You know, it's like, come on, let me hug you, you hug me. I don't know who you are, but obviously there's a reason that we're talking.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next?
Well, the truth is that, you know, when did we end? Hold on, I got to look. We successfully built May 24. So May 24, I guess, was when we ended our campaign, late May. So June, July, August, and we're now September. So it's been 4 months, basically. So it's the summer.
Right.
And in those 4 months, you know, by the way, it's a little sobering. Success on Kickstarter or anything like it is, you know, it's like life. It's very lifelike. It's a mixed bag. You go, you know, I'm elated, I'm excited, I'm ecstatic. Oh my God, we more doubled our goal. And the campaign ends, and you go, oh my God, I have an obligation to hundreds and hundreds of people to deliver all this stuff that does not exist, and I have no idea how to do it.
I got my copy. It's good.
I have no idea how to do an audiobook. And once I do, I don't know what technology platform I can deliver a file that has 7.5 hours of audio on it, 600 megabyte file. How the hell am I going to give that to someone? I don't know. You know, so you realize, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff to learn. Well, on the one hand, it's a challenge. On the other hand, it's exhilarating. So these 4 months have literally been, we created the physical book, which included all the stuff I talked about raising the money for. It was the formatting and the layout design and the book cover design, exploring printing and self-publishing and all those moving parts, and all the service providers that you got to know along the way. So we got all that. Then we did the book. Then I decided, well, you know, we promised an ebook, but the idea of doing just a digital version of a book, it's nice. It's what everybody's doing, but I want to do something more or different.
Describe what you did. I saw this. This is so cool. Describe this thing.
I got my videographer to come back, and it took it took several sessions, like, you know, several hours here, several hours there. But what we basically did was we said, I just want to talk to the camera, and you guys ask me questions, or, you know, I had one guy, Michael in particular, asking me a lot of questions. I just want to talk about, I want to go a little bit deeper or tell anecdotes around some of these lessons and ideas that are in the book. And so that's what we did. We filmed hours and hours and hours of stuff. And then I gave it to my editor and said, just find the nuggets. And I don't want these long. I don't want 20-minute videos. I don't want 10-minute videos. I want 30-second to 2.5-minute max. And just go in and find the nuggets that are the, you know, self-contained stories that make a good point, that have value. And so there are now, and then I created title cards where the beginning of the video, it's a black card with white type that says the name, whatever name we gave that video. And so there ended up being 4 dozen of them. So there are 48 links strategically placed throughout the ebook that when you get to that point, you read. Now there's a link, you click on it, and a video comes up, and you watch the video, and then you continue reading the ebook. So I'm calling it an enhanced ebook for lack of a better.
I'm calling it the Harry Potter newspaper because I'm sitting there reading this thing, and then there you are, and I click on it, and you start talking to me. I mean, hopefully it's the wave of the future because it really is makes it a dream of interactive media, truly interactive for my author. Is actually sharing something with me that's not in the print. It gives you like a little Cracker Jack surprise every few pages. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good for the reader. I think it's also, and by the way, one thing that I didn't think of as we were doing it, but I realize now, it's really selfish to do it. It's a good thing. Selfish in the best way, right? Mm-hmm. Because you got to assume the majority of the readers don't know you personally. Mm-hmm. And if that's true, then the audiobook was I don't know how many people listen to audiobooks. I'm learning as I go, Doug. But it's one thing to hear someone's voice and sort of, it's like you you feel like you develop a relationship. Like I'm getting to know them. I know their intonations. I know their excitement, the cadence of their voice, etc. And that's one thing. But video is more powerful yet. So if someone's reading a book and then you put 4 dozen videos out there, no matter how short they are, and they keep getting used to watching you and watching your expressions and hearing you talk about things or seeing you as they're listening to you talk about things, they actually develop a relationship, an actual rapport with you that is uncanny. It's a different level of relationship.
So it's like you're there. And from a marketing perspective, I know you and I are both big fans of Oren Klaff's Pitch Anything book. And I got to tell you, it's one of the few books where I got the digital, audio, and hardback version. And for my authors who are listening to this, understand that your book is just one media platform, but you deliver good content which is relevant to them. They're going to want it in more than just text, more than just audio, more than just video. They want it all.
They're going to want it all, and then that's true. That's the beginning. And then but beyond that, mm-hmm. beyond selling them the same book in different formats, is if you're just an author, and I say that tongue in cheek because being an author is an amazing accomplishment, huge. I mean, I had no idea. It took me this long to do my first book, not because I'm not a good writer. I'm actually a very good writer. I have no qualms about saying that. I've been writing all my life. But there is a universe. There is a galaxy of difference between being a good writer and being an author. And I have such newfound respect for authors, which I've always had, but now it's even more because the discipline and structure and the artfulness of taking writing and turning it into authorship, a well-structured book, it's a whole different order of writing. So hats off to authors. But so anyway, the author can develop a deeper relationship such that when they come out with their next book, people are more inclined, if they've experienced you in other ways, in audiobook or ebook, visual or video, they feel more attached to you, so they may be more likely to buy your next book. And or if you're an author who happens, as I do in this case, to have things in support of a back end, if you will, like I have developed an interactive educational coursework in support of these books. And because I think as good as the books are, and I've gotten great feedback, I still sense that people read them and they don't, as smart as they are, as clear as the book is, there's a little bit of a gap. How do I apply it? What does that look like? If I were to take 30 minutes a day and market myself as a creative professional, what would that, and this coursework literally is 83 pages of quizzes with a bunch of text, and it's going to add some visuals or whatever. I don't know what length it'll end up being, but you could not complete this coursework, which is easy. None of it's essay. It's all like bing, 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 bing. At the end of it, you've got a whole map. You've got a whole plan, and it is no two people would be even remotely alike. It's going to be completely specific and unique to the individual. That kind of thing is really cool. But now if they've seen me, if all I did was have a physical book, they might buy it. But I think, it's my suspicion, I believe it's true, and I'll find out, at some point. But if they've seen me and heard me in these different ways, in these different formats, and gotten to know me and developed some sense of me, and seen, one of the feedbacks that I get is, oh, when I read him, I loved what I was reading, but when I saw the videos, I really got how much he cares about this stuff. And so there's different things that different media can convey. And I think that people will buy my educational course more likely than not if they've gone beyond just a physical book and seen some video of me or heard the audiobook. It's just an instinct on my part.
Well,
so
I'm convinced you're right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure that over time people will share stories or feedback and corroborate that idea. But yeah, the more ways I think that's like anything else. It's kind of like the more ways you put yourself out there, you do. You know, you blog on other people's blog, you blog on your own blog, you build a list, you communicate through email, you do different, whatever all those things are that you do, the more ways you make yourself available to people, the more likely people will attach back to you.
And speaking of which, I'm remiss. I probably should have mentioned it at least 3 times during this interview, but how do people get your book, Conquering Hollywood?
Heck if I know. Well, actually, I'm teasing. They can just, it's all up on Amazon. And I mean, there's other ways, but the easiest way is just to go to Amazon. You can either type in the title of the book. The main title of the book is Conquering Hollywood. So you could do that. Or you could just type in Gary W. Goldstein or Gary Goldstein. I'm sure it would come up still. But anyway, the nice thing about Amazon is when you go to Conquering Hollywood, you'll see it, and you click on it, my page comes up. And the Kindle version and the paperback version and the Audible or audiobook version are all right there together. So, you know, it's easy breezy.
Great. That's very good. I'll make sure we mentioned that a few times. I'd love to get more people to get this book, and then the workbook will be out soon as well. The interactive book you mentioned.
Yeah, I think that probably will be done by the end of the month. You know, but I mean, I'm not sure, but I would say I'd like it to be done sooner. But I think there's a lot that goes into it. There's these things called gravity forms, and then of course I need a designer to design the layout, and then the cover, and the whole thing again. But it's
I have gravity forms. It's a brilliant plugin, but it's a pain in the rear end. Okay, so what about when I said what's next? I was really referring to all your production stuff. What is next for Gary? What are you doing next year? What's going on?
Well, a bunch of
get
stuff.
Book out.
These will be. I mean, I'm dedicating the rest of this year to completing a lot of what I've got. So I'll try and go quickly through it because it's a lot of stuff. I am going to do a live event for creatives. It's going to be a 2-day live event. Right. I'm going to have 8 speakers. I'm going to do it here in LA. I've hand-selected 8 people that I think will over-deliver because they're so caring and brilliant in agents and producers and the biggest creators online and really great, and they're going to bring in sort of very relevant, tangible stuff with an action map. Like, here's not what you do, here's how to do it. And then, so I'm edit the video. I'm going to have transcripts of the event. I'm going to have a workbook with all their action maps. I'm going to have 8 unique interviews that I'll do separately, and that will become a whole project as well. I'm doing that live event. I'm doing the educational course. Those things will all pretty much be in the queue by the end of the year.
Right.
But and then next year I'm going to write. I actually am taking the core of the book and I'm rewriting it for entrepreneurs. I've had such feedback from some of the guy who chairs the Global Entrepreneur Organization, and a number of really, really elevated, brilliant folks who've read the book and said, if you could leave the anecdotes in because they're alluring and fascinating, but it supported the lesson. But if you change the vernacular, take out Hollywood, put in entrepreneurship, this will be a bestseller. You will have a much broader audience, and everything that you say for the creatives applies equally to the entrepreneurs of the world. And so that's a book that I'm going to write. I've been offered to be, and it's just the relationships that I have on that side are actually even better than entertainment. So, I expect to be in business. I hope to be in business with everyone from, Inc. magazine and Dun & Bradstreet to the Wall Street Journal to, a number of folks to to deploy this and do. And I'm actually doing my first entrepreneurial event in November. Very limited. Like I think we're going to limit it to 12 paying clients, so to speak. But super intensive 2-day where we're going to just literally strip people's business down to its barest essentials, throw out all that which isn't working, and completely re-energize through new marketing, new revenue modeling, new strategic relationships, new. We're going to just literally rebuild businesses in 2 days and then do follow-up for 3 months. So that's very exciting to me. And then I think, at some point next year, one of the things I've been playing with, I love interviewing people. And I think the two guys who have the greatest jobs on the planet are Charlie Rose and Anthony Bourdain. So I think if those two guys had a bastard child who was too poor to live on TV and had just a few shekels, enough to live on the web, that would be me. So I'm putting together a decade proposal for a hotel chain where I would travel property to property, interviewing luminaries and doing some deep work with their staff on the backside.
Oh, how fun.
About being the storytellers of that, and then further connecting that brand to its communities, the hotel properties to the communities. So it's a lot of fun. It gets me. So I marry my loves of travel, of interview, a lot of beautiful environments where I have downtime to write my next book, blah blah blah. So I have a bunch of stuff in the hopper, and it's all. It just amuses the heck out of me, and I'm looking at what I think probably could be the richest chapter of my life, just if measured, Doug, in terms of two things: enjoyment and literally statistical, measurable impact. The number of people that, with maybe one exception, because the film Pretty Woman still pretty much paints the globe in terms of giving people enjoyment. Yeah. That was a good one, but over on a consistent basis, to be able to touch and interact with lots and lots of people, I think the stuff that I'm building now is going to allow for that. So that's exciting.
Absolutely, that's great. I don't want to take any more of your time, Gary. You've been very, very generous. I really sincerely appreciate it. And the people who are listening to this, this is Gary Goldstein, author of Conquering Hollywood, and to be seen at a hotel chain in the lobby sometime near you, I guess. It's going to be a fun project. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Get this book. I have read it. I've listened to part of the videos. I just got my audio download today, by the way, so thank you very much for that. I'll be listening to that in the car on my way back to California or Illinois, wherever I'm traveling. So thank you once again, Conquering Hollywood. Mr. Gary Goldstein, many, many thanks, and very appreciative for your time.
Doug, thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do with authors. Good stuff, really good stuff. So it's always a pleasure.